Hello and welcome to part 2 of making a Cammy sculpture. In this part we'll focus on making the hair. You'll notice here I have a bunch of pictures of Cammy, my reference pictures, and a lot of them her braids go all the way down to her mid-thigh or knee. A lot of them have just different lengths, but we're just going to make it go all the way down to her mid-thigh or knee. Okay, first off I'm going to get a regular sheet of paper and I'm going to fold it about a 1/4 inch thick. I'll make sure I put a hard crease in there because I'm going to rip it later. And after I get that 1/4 inch thick, I'm going to just keep folding it over itself and over itself, just so that the different strands that I'm making are about the same thickness. So right here you can see me folding it over about for the 4th time. And I'll pick it up. You're going to see me pinch the crease, and I'm going to slide that pinch down all the way and make that crease really, really tight. And I'm going to begin splitting the paper. You can cut it if you'd like, but I just think that this process, it really doesn't need to be a clean cut, so I just decided to go with the tearing process instead of cutting it. Once this is done, what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to put all these strands on a wire. There's going to be a wire that runs through the center of all these strands, and I'm going to fold that around the wire. You'll see that a little bit later. Okay, I'm going to speed it up here so that you can actually get to the meat of the hair making. Now, yeah, all these strands, after I ripped them, they become like, curls, and so I'm going to put a weight down on there to hold the two down. Get some glue. This glue will actually work to stop that curling because that paper gets wet, and when that paper gets wet, it gives it that weight. And I slid my finger down it to basically get an even coat of glue. I'm not exactly sure how much glue I'll need, but I believe I put enough on there already. So I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to put it down the center. I'm going to run it down the center of this strand. And after I ran it down the center of that strand, I'm just going to fold that strand of paper that I have. I'm going to fold it in half. It's going to go over that wire. It's going to cover that wire, and then after I fold it in half, I'm going to begin to twist it. So right now you see me just putting that wire down the center of that piece of paper, and I'm going to cut it right here. When I do cut it, I'm going to make sure that the wire is protruding just a little bit outside of the that strand of paper. I'm going to need that wire I'm gonna need that exposed wire to do some things with later. You'll see it later in the video, but right now you just see me that wire's down the center. I'm sorry it's out of frame, but you can see that wire's down the center. I'm folding that piece of paper in half around that wire just to cover that wire, because I don't want any of that wire to be exposed. Basically what I want is these long strands of paper, since this is a paper sculpture. So now what I'm doing, I'm folding it in half, and I'm also twisting it at the same time. I believe the best thing to do is just fold it first, then go for the twist. So yeah, I'm done with folding it in half, and now I'm gonna start twisting it. Now you need to be careful when you're twisting it, because you might twist it and that wire with that glue that's in there, that wire will want to slide out of the out of that fold, and it'll become exposed, and you don't want that wire to be exposed. It'll end up making your braid look strange. But I think once you paint over it, even if you have some exposed wire, it'll be okay. But what I want is I just want that paper look to it, because the paper, what it does is when you twist it, it has these striations in it, and the striations that it does have in it, that actually works to make it look more like a hair texture, and that'll end up helping you in the long run. That's like one less thing that you have to do, you know, if you want to get it to making it look more like realistic hair. So right now it's out of frame, but I'm just twisting and twisting and twisting around that wire. And what I'll end up having is basically like a wire core with a paper around it. So I finished making that first one. I'm just going to speed it up here while I make the other 4 strands. And it's really quick, but you can see how it just looks like these paper straws or whatever, just these strands of hair. And what I'm going to do now, what you see me doing now, is I'm taking 3 of them, and I'm going to braid 3 of them together. And you can see the wire that's exposed on there. That's exposed outside of the paper. I'm gonna put them in a clip, and then I'm gonna braid them. But this clip that I'm using right now, I start to notice that the braids are shifting, and I don't want them to shift. I just want them to be held tightly. So I'm gonna use a stronger clip. And there it is. Now, if you don't have a clip, you can probably just bite down with your mouth. You can bite down on the 3 different strands, and that'll help it. Yeah, I mean, you can get creative with holding this thing still. But what I'm doing right now is as I'm braiding these, I'm pulling really tightly because I want this braid to be really tight. It's not like it's somebody's actual head, so they're not gonna complain when you pull tight on those strands. But I want it to be really tight, because if it's not tight, then you'll end up getting these little gaps, and that can be annoying sometimes. But since this is made of this bendable wire, once I get this braid done, you'll be able to see that you can just bend it, fold it into any position, and it'll hold that position. So now I've got it done. Left a little bit of the strand undone, because that's going to be the part of the strand that actually goes into the head figure of the Cammy. And I might even put a little bit of the braid, because I'll drill a hole in her head, and I'll put those 3 ends in there and a little bit of the braid, just so that you know, when it's coming out of her head, you'll have it'll start with the braid that's coming out of her head. And the 3 ends that I left with the exposed wire, I'm going to leave that as the end that's going to be towards her knee. Because since it's thinner, it'll be easier to cover up, because if you notice, the braids, they had like these little lion tail sort of things at the end of it, and it'll be easier to work with if I have, you know, if it's thinner. I mean, because, you know, there's not much there's not much to get around with those things. Right now, I just believe I'm twisting them just to make it a little bit smaller, because when I put the little lion tail thing on there, I don't want any of that wire exposed. And of course, I can cut that wire off when I'm done. Yeah, the hair's a long way off, and I don't know why I decided to do it. I just, you know, I just had the idea, and I guess I just went for it. It's a simple process, and it might take a little bit of time. But yeah, that's it for the hair right now. I'll work on it a little bit later. Thank you for watching. Leave a like. If you leave a dislike, just leave a comment, and you know, you can tell me how I can make these videos better, what I did or what I didn't do. Just you know, to help me out. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.